Rich, I have a question for you. Your talk was really inspiring. How do you suggest people go from here to there? Like, what are the first steps in making that change?
Um, I, 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 I think changing your habits is hard. Um, I think it really, for me, it comes down to sort of that one thing you're going to do tomorrow. We all buy the books. We all look at New Year's resolutions. We're just getting through, right? There are 2 books on my nightstand that I'm planning to read. They will sit there, and they will drive me crazy, right? You've all had this experience, right? What are you going to do tomorrow morning while you're having coffee that just furthers it just the one step? You got to break it into steps. You're going to fail. You're going to get to the point where even the one step is hard. I just think you have to be relentless about it. It's tough if you're if you're going to change careers, if you're going to invent a new business, you're going to fail a lot, and it really is that resilience that's critical.
Okay. Anyone else have something on that? Okay. I have a question for M1 Studios. You know, you guys are our favorite over there. How'd you get where you are so fast? It's been a fast journey, hasn't it?
It really has. M1's been around. We're just started our 6th year. Last year we had 300% growth, which is it's phenomenal for 2008. And to answer your question, how do you get there so fast? Well, it's a lot of hard work. You know, you mentioned earlier about luck. And sometimes you gotta know when you're lucky, and other times you just need to make your own luck, right? When you get that phone call and you get that really big job, is that because you got lucky that day, or is it because all your hard work that you've been working on for months and years, is that starting to pay off, right? So it's never stopping. It's always working harder to find what can you do better, how can you make improvements. We're a little bit lucky by the fact that we are a content creation studio, so we can make our own advertising, we can make our own commercials. We have helped other companies be successful, and I would say that is the key to our success, is by helping other companies with their social media and creating videos and content that then makes their businesses grow. It just ends up falling down to us, right? If we push other people up, they'll pull us along with them.
I think Dino's Lounge is probably a really good example of that.
Yeah, Dino's Lounge in Ferndale is an amazing success story on that. He went from, he gained like 40% over 1 year just by adding social media and social media videos to his campaign. He dropped all other advertising except for social media. Was up 40% for that year. As a restaurant in 2010, I mean, that was unheard of. To be growing that strong. Now he's launched catering companies and other things, riding off that success.
And a community business helping another community business, which helps community businesses, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you. You said you have a question? I can't remember. Yep, right there. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So personal empowerment, I know that Ford Motor Company is undergoing a culture change in their IT organization, and they're attempting to shift from more hierarchical to more empowered. What do you think is important for organizations when they're making that kind of a long-term journey, especially for the leadership? And if you don't have an organizational perspective, then what's important for the people that are within that system and trying to adopt that kind of empowerment change?
Well, when I was speaking of empowerment, I was more on a personal level, far as one of the things that we have in the forefront of our minds is that the image that women are being portrayed as on television and changing that image. So what we want to do is to is to give women a positive view and take that into our hands and not wait on someone else to come out and say, okay, this is how you should be as women. So personally, empowerment to me is taking it into your own hands and making the change that you want to see. So I don't know if that answers your questions, because I had no idea about what the Ford thing was, but this was on my.
What organization do you work for?
So I'm week 3 on the job at United Healthcare, actually, but I come from Ford and
Okay.
leading that movement.
What, if you could rephrase your question, are you experiencing specific blocks, or are you hoping that your organization adopts what Ford is doing, or are you looking to see how that can happen? throwing the questions back on you, which is reverse psychology in a way.
Okay, well, I might need a hug at some point. Thank you. Heather, we're friends already. No, when I look at high-performing teams, I work specifically on trying to build teams that are high-performing faster. And one of the things that my observation is, depending on the kind of system that people are in, it can really either help foster that or it can really inhibit it. So when I think about, how do you go around, you can't really give someone empowerment. It's really something that comes from within. What are the ways that you as leaders, or you specifically with empowerment, can think of to help foster that kind of an environment?
I think I'll actually play devil's advocate and counter that you can't give empowerment. I believe you can. Specifically with our department, the social media team, social as far as a communication channel requires, in my opinion, collaboration, open discussion, brainstorming, which is fairly unique. If you walked into any other department in Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, that may not necessarily be the case. We get a lot of people who come to our side of the building. They're like, I like what's going on here. You guys seem fun. You guys, the energy's here. And it's true. I go up to different areas of the building, and it's a very different cubicle, isolated area. So I think you can give empowerment. And empowerment is invitation, inviting people to say, you know what, I know your email news lead, but we're going to talk about content, and you're creating content. So I want your perspective on this. And that provides people a sense of self-worth. They say, you know what, I feel like I can contribute to something outside of my job, which strengthens their resolve to do a good job every day. And the more you collaborate and the more you brainstorm, the more you become a team. And people like being part of a team because they feel like they belong to something. And that's been something that's been ingrained in us in our DNA way before we even had paychecks. So
engaging people's passions.
Yeah, we have a social media. We had a social media town hall a couple weeks ago, last week, and it was given to everyone in our communications department. And a lot of people know about social media. Some felt weird about it. Some just didn't understand it. Some wanted to participate but didn't want to come across as being stupid about it. But, you just broke it down. And I remember going through every one of our team members so they knew who they were. And the last slide I had was just you, Y-O-U. I go, everyone here in this audience, you guys are my team members. You may come up with an idea that we haven't thought of. So I welcome you to come by. This is where I sit. Don't send me an email. Don't call me. Come on by to my desk and let's talk about something. Let's go out to lunch. And just engaging in that. Oh, I use that word, engage. Oh, I hate that word. Collaborating in communication. So I think empowerment comes from collaboration and communication.
Okay, I'm going to toss the ball to some of you guys over there with regard to what you're talking about. When we're talking about team, right, we're talking about our own work team or our own group or our own department. The way we used to talk about it before, right? Today, that has broadened out to, we have so much to offer each other on levels that we never thought were possible. And I just did a presentation recently, and I started talking about tagging. And it was cute because people in the audience were like, what's tagging, And we started to get some of that. But then the people that understood that and grasped that concept it kind of opened their eyes. And I know that we do that a lot in here. So could you, Chad and Dave and Rich and some of those of you that are using social media kind of talk about that concept? Because I think it's going to go back to the engaging piece and the team piece.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a first stab at that. So, if we're looking to build a relationship, with somebody, a team member or somebody in our department, what I find works best for me in my experience is I tend to give first before having any expectations. So I am I'm the mindset where I like to give before I expect anything in return, right? And that's how I typically like to build relationships. So for instance, to put that in perspective, when I get a LinkedIn invitation, even if I don't know the person, I first used to not even accept their invitation, right? But now what I do, if I get a LinkedIn invitation, and I'll check out their bio, and 9 times out of 10, I will accept that LinkedIn invitation. Even if that person is, I've never met before, don't know who that person is, just because they reached out to me, and I'm the type of person that I'll make a friendship and I'll give before expecting anything in return. However, if I get a spam email or, hey, you can get rich quick type email from this person, you're done. I'll cross you off my list, right? But getting back to tagging, it's the same type of mindset, is to give before you expect to be given to. So when you tag somebody on Facebook or on Twitter, it's using their name and just giving them a nice little shout out, a little gesture of appreciation.
Okay, that's good. And drawing people into conversation, right?
I think we're all just trying to figure out this language to a certain extent. Even email, you write an email, and then the sender reads it in a completely different way. I think we all have to give each other a lot of room for error. I'm not a big, say, newsletter fan. I'm not a big, so you sent me this thing that was very efficient for you and has 10,000 things I read. That becomes automatically deleted for me. Where I guess my head is around using social media is really about the conversation. That, if you wouldn't read it yourself, why would you send it? Sometimes organizations send you stuff and you go, you wouldn't want to go to this thing, or you would. And so trying to find the right tone, the right dialogue, and then sort of how do we share that throughout, we produce a lot of television, right? 24-hour a day, 7 days a week. Some of it should come from me, some of it should come from different members of the staff. And trying to figure out that language and the right approach, I just think it's hard. And you got to find the right tone. Should Pure Michigan always be coming at you as red, white, and blue Michigan? Should it be a little more casual? Should it talk about what are the rules of that at our place? Should we ever feel like we're advocating for something? There's a lot of these funky communication issues that I think we're still trying to figure out how we talk to each other. In social media, I think it's as much a struggle for the people that are in charge of this stuff as it is for regular folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, real quick on the whole social media thing. Again, I'm going to take a stance that may be in opposition to what I think a lot of us feel social media is. And I feel the problem with social media is social media. The reality is and the reason I say that is because there's no discipline to obtain the technology today. You need a first name, last name, email address, and voila, you have a Twitter account or a Facebook page. Now, if any one of you can tell me where you can find in those two examples where they tell you exactly how to use their page to the best way for you, please let me know, because I haven't found it yet. And we hear all this thing about communication. We don't understand. I don't believe that. I think we've always wanted to communicate, and social media is not new. The tools are new, but they're not social media. Social media, in my view, is communication with people. Now, if you're a one-on-one and you're just having this conversation, that's easy to do. And then the problem why businesses, and why it was stated here maybe why we're confused about that, is because businesses, organizations, large or small, have never had to be in a position where they've had to communicate with people. They've always been in a position to communicate to people. But that's not communication. That's marketing, shouting, advertising, pay-per-click, SEO, liking my Facebook page. Communication with people is a whole different thing. And I hear you have to join the conversation, and I would urge all of you never to do that. Never join the conversation, earn a conversation.
Back to for the United Healthcare, how many people are you talking about that you're trying to build esprit de corps and empower? I'm sorry. Less than 100? Well, one idea for empowering is making them all feel special and appreciated, and more so than just through the social media. I would recommend certain handwritten notes, encourage, thanking them, congratulating them. I had one company that they did a scavenger hunt. Their team was like, I think there was 45 people on the team, and they went to a chamber event, and she gave them a scavenger hunt, and it was like, approaching somebody that has red hair, somebody that has glasses, who did you meet that was a teacher, who did you meet that owned a barber shop, and they had fun. They had they were learning people skills, because a lot of people are behind the computer and the desk, and they needed to get out and start learning how to talk to people and approach. That helped out a little bit. That might help you with a little bit of an idea. I do believe social media is great and is helping everybody grow faster than ever before, but there's power in relationship marketing where it's that face-to-face, people seeing your eyes, your heart, knowing who you are as a person and your values, and then you're able to really make them feel worthy by giving them that special touch, a hug even, or handshake that we can't give up. And I'm a little nervous and scared with the younger generation. They're not being taught that. They're being taught all this, computer things that my son goes to Northwood University, and they're stepping out of the box more, getting the kids in their leadership classes, getting out to talk to people face to face, and they don't use the computer with a couple classes. That's really important. When you have a strong relationship, and if you're in sales, you're going to keep that customer and that client. You're not going to have to go out and find somebody new all the time, because they're going to like you for who you are, and they know who you are. As far as getting them excited, they talked a little bit about goals or whatever, but is finding out what their why is. Really find out what their why is and what their personal goal is, and help them embark on that, and have them keep that in front of them, that's why they're doing what they're doing every day. And I'm always talking to people too, what do you want your legacy to be? When the time comes and you have to be leaving a legacy, what would you like people to remember who you are? And that makes you think too outside the box a little bit more too. So I hope that kind of helps.
Thank you. Okay, we've got 2 more questions and about 3 more minutes. So here we go.
Hello. My question is around Pinterest. I would like to hear from each of you, one, what your thought about Pinterest, and perhaps how you're utilizing it.
I'm fairly new to it, but I'm utilizing it mainly just for relaxation and just to kind of dream a little bit, dream outside the box, and then kind of also with my different albums, that people kind of know a little bit more about who I am and where I'm going.
Yeah, we have a Pinterest page, we being Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. It was started before I got there, and quite frankly, it's a mess, so we have to do a little cleanup. However, I would say that the best advice I got about images, just in general, not just Pinterest, but images in general, was from Darren Rouse, a pro blogger, who at Blog World said, anytime I post an image, I always aim to inspire through that image, because that gives me the opportunity to educate. So we have an average attention span of 2.5 seconds when it comes to the social web. So how are you going to grab someone's attention with a crappy stock photo image? Take something beautiful that makes them turn their head and go, wow, what is that? And commit to reading your post or whatever you're providing. I would also recommend everyone out here who's looking to see what a good company does as far as visual social media, and look at General Electric. They do an amazing job with their visuals. They'll take a picture of a washing machine and they'll get 26,000 views on Pinterest alone. Kid you not.
This will sound cynical. I'm hoping that we don't have to learn to feed another platform. I think I have a mindset for Facebook. I think I have a mindset for Twitter. I think I know where I'm going with email. And my only concern is, I'm a big amateur photographer, but trying to feed another platform is sort of the hardest thing for me, because it's hell to try and get our Facebook, Twitter, email strategy all lined up, and I ain't going to stop it, that's for sure, right? So as these things, and there's always something new going to kill PBS, trust me. Every week somebody calls, what's going to kill you this week? The History Channel. Call Honey Boo Boo. But the hilarious thing, I don't know, Foursquare, is it still out there? Christ, I hope that dies. What was the music? MySpace. Oh, God, thank goodness that's not. I'm being honest with you. As a manager, trying to figure out what's the dialogue, what's the nature of all these. Please, no more platform. But, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so, on that, I would add, if you're considering using Pinterest for business, not Pinterest for pleasure, for your personal use, but for your own business, take a step back, right? To Rich's point, right, yet another social platform. So take a step back and ask yourself, are your customers there? Where are your customers? Where are they spending their time? what channels, where do they go for sources of information on the internet? When they have a problem in front of them, where do they turn to? I mean, they go to Google, right? They do a search, and where do they end up? That's where you want to be. You want to be where your customers are living online. It may be Pinterest. It may not. It may be YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, right, or Instagram. Pinterest is great for wedding planners. It's great for our business, travel and leisure, right? It's great for that. It's good for food, right, and book authors. It may not be right for your business, so that'd be my best advice. And also, I'll leave you with this. Second is to Dave Murray's point about don't join the conversation, earn the conversation. I think that's an excellent bit of advice. Social media shouldn't, as a business, don't think of yourself as trying to earn the conversation, just chit-chat, right? Don't chit-chat. You should have a content marketing plan. You should have a strategy in place of what to say, how to say it, and where you're going to say it. That matches up with your business goals. You can chit-chat all day long, but if that's not driving leads for your business, if that's not growing awareness for your brand, if that's not driving traffic to your website or whatever your business objective is, then it's a waste of time, and don't do it. So if your customers are on Pinterest, great, right? That's step one. Step two is, how are you going to use a channel that aligns with their business goals?
Personally, we're not using Pinterest too much because our customers aren't really there. Somebody told me once, and this seems to make a lot of sense to me, Twitter is to communicate and to speak to people individually. Even though you're broadcasting it out, they're still reading it and they're thinking it on a one-on-one basis. Where Pinterest, you're really just being part of the community. You're really like, whatever you're posting is really just about being part of this community of people who enjoy those same types of interests. And so if you have customers in that community, great, be part of it for your business. Otherwise, just be part of it, to me, on the social level, on the personal level.
Mine is very basic because they've all covered it. Just like with any other social media that you use, remember that it's reflective of you, it's reflective of whatever your business is, if you're going to use it for your business. So you want to send a strong message, you want to send a clear message when you use that medium. I don't use it personally, but that's all I have on that one.
Could just give you two real quick ones. There's an article by, I think it's Alex Madrigal at The Atlantic, Google search dark social media. And what the research says is over half of the action in social media is email and text, and it's largely uncounted. We think that email is tremendously powerful and again, not as fashionable. And what we are experimenting with is, and I think when you go to text, you're really invading people's personal space, right? Because now I'm going right to your phone. What we are experimenting with is texting partners, people we clearly have a one-to-one relationship with, Twitter scripts, where we say, okay, guys, it's easy with us because it's usually a program. Downton Abbey, team, here's your Twitter script. We think that works, but again, I think when you get to the text, now you're in my house, right? You're at my phone number. I think it's more personal than an email. So we're not chasing Pinterest, but Alex Madrigal, I believe, is the author. Dark social media, and what it basically says is about half of the real action social media is email and text.